This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Our conversations continue this morning as we look to reactions which have continued to trail the closure of schools in some parts of Nigeria for the holy month of Ramadan. The schools in question was, or rather the suspension of educational activities happened in Katsina, Kebbi, Bauchi and Kano States, and it's for the duration of the Ramadan fast. Now, while some state governments have come out to explain that the closure allows students and teachers alike to participate fully in the religious exercise, there are still concerns over how this closure will affect the over 11 million students who attend schools and educational institutions in the region. Joining the conversation this morning is Jalal Usman, an information officer at the Ministry of Education in Bauchi. Mr. Usman, good morning and thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So we're going to speak about you, of course. Now, your state in particular says that you consulted private schools as part of what informed the decision to close for the month of Ramadan. Can you tell us how these consultations occurred?
So wherever we are going to have a new calendar, we do normally start down with education stakeholders. That's the matter of the PTA, LDMC, NAFS, AFSCON, all that matters. Then we give them the proposed timetable. We show them for their observation. Once they all agree, then we took it to the governor.
So essentially, you're saying that this is not the closure. The decision to close schools for the religious holiday did not happen. It wasn't a spur of the moment decision. That it was actual consultation before the beginning of the school year.
What brings our mind to start is that it's not something that would just sit down and do it last week. No, it has been there right from day one.
Right.
So if you check our calendar, you see the break is already on the calendar. And so far now we are in the second term.
So, Mr. Usman, one of the concerns that people on the outside have seen is that across the country, students, particularly in SS3, are preparing for JAM, which is coming up next month, and then WAEC comes up just a month later. And there are concerns that this 4-week break or 5 weeks would disrupt students' ability to prepare for very critical examinations. Can you speak to us on whether or what sort of considerations were made for these students before this decision was taken?
So this is not going to affect them academically because we are going to continue after the fasting. So they are going back home for break for the third term. After the resume from summer break, they will continue with their academic. It's a continuation calendar.
You know, Mr. Usman, I hear you and I understand what you're saying, but public information says that, for instance, JAM for this year is going to be conducted on the 5th of April. And we expect that Ramadan will be ending at the end of March. Between the end of March and the 5th of April is really just a few days, which is why I'm coming back to what sort of considerations were made for the students, because I don't know that 5 days are enough for the entire state to start preparing for an examination that's just about to happen.
As far as we are concerned, they are very much ready. We are.
So I hear you, Mr. Usman, when you express that readiness. But as someone who, of course, went through the Nigerian system, I'm curious as to how confident and where this confidence comes from. I can't tell you that I was the best or the brightest student, and I would tell you confidently instead that I enjoyed a good holiday. So whether it was for religious activities or just a normal, say, a public holiday that was given by the government, I would typically take it as a time when I would abandon my books. And I wonder if there is any concern, at least in this particular case, that essentially a month-long holiday just before major examinations would adversely affect the performance of students. And I ask this, permit me to just add here, because reports over time have indicated that the performance of students in some parts of Nigeria is lower than the more urban or the more popular areas, say Lagos, and I would say to some extent places like Ogun State. So that is the thrust of this question.
So we are very much have confidence because I think it was around last month that the governor paid the examination fees. That's the LECO fees and the JAM to show you that the government is ready to assist the students. And if that we are not ready to assist them, then the government will not have paid that huge amount of money for them to write examination.
So, Mr. Osman, beyond education, right, there's also concerns about religious minorities in Bauchi. And it's very important that the state is able to talk about what sort of considerations were made for them, or even tell us whether or not they were consulted on the basis of the religious aspect and what they said. Were they in support of the state government's decision? Were they against the state government's decision? Was there any consideration made whatsoever?
So, we like education is a responsibility for all. That's why we don't just sit down in the office and just take this show. Well, you know that this thing came from a Christian. There is this one that is called Last on UNOB. He's the president of the ASPON, that's Association of Private School Owners of Nigeria, here in Bauchi. He was the first person that brought this idea, and it was welcome.
Right. Well, Mr. Usman, thank you very much for speaking with us. We do appreciate the time that you have taken out to clear up these questions and have this conversation this morning. Jalal Usman is an information officer at the Ministry of Education in Bauchi, joining us to speak on the reactions which have trailed the closure of educational institutions in Bauchi as well as some other northern states for the holy month of Ramadan. You're still on to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. In a few short moments, we'll be turning to brands now and a conversation with an entrepreneur about their business and what they are doing to change the world.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.